What if I told you that every history book you've ever read has been lying to you? That the greatest civilization in human history was systematically erased from existence, and its magnificent buildings are still standing right in front of you. Look around you. Those ornate government buildings, grand cathedrals, and elaborate train stations weren't built by our ancestors in the 1800s. According to a growing movement of researchers, they're the remnants of an advanced global empire called Tartaria, a civilization so sophisticated that its very existence had to be wiped from history. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most controversial theories of our time, and by the end of this video, you'll never look at architecture the same way again. Let's start with what mainstream history tells us. Tartary, or Tartaria, was a historical name for Central Asia and Siberia, spanning from central Afghanistan to northern Kazakhstan. It appeared on maps for centuries, representing vast territories inhabited by various nomadic peoples. But here's where things get interesting and controversial. According to the theory, Tartaria was supposedly an ancient civilization with highly advanced technology, where Tartarians were giants who built mankind's most impressive architecture: the Great Pyramids, the Taj Mahal, Petra, and the Great Wall of China. But how did this theory gain traction? It started with curious minds questioning inconsistencies in our historical timeline. They noticed something peculiar about 19th century architecture: buildings that seemed too advanced, too elaborate, and too massive for the supposed construction capabilities of that era. Think about it. We're told that in the 1800s, people built these incredible structures with basic tools, horse-drawn carriages, and primitive machinery. Yet these buildings showcase engineering marvels, intricate stonework, and architectural sophistication that challenges our understanding of technological progression. Walk through any major city today, and you'll see them. Buildings that don't quite fit the narrative. The Chicago World's Fair of 1893, for instance, showcased hundreds of elaborate structures that were supposedly built in just 2 years and then mysteriously demolished. These weren't simple wooden facades. Photographs show massive, ornate buildings with incredible detail and engineering. The theorists ask, how did late 19th century builders, with their limited technology, create structures that rival today's architectural achievements? How did they quarry, transport, and precisely place massive stone blocks without modern machinery? How did they achieve such uniform architectural styles across continents? Here's where the theory takes a dramatic turn. Believers contend that because such an empire is not mentioned in history books, it has been intentionally erased, with most of the empire supposedly lost. The theory suggests that sometime in the 18th and 19th centuries, a catastrophic event, often called the Great Reset or Mud Flood, destroyed much of Tartarian civilization. Some theorists point to unusual basement windows at street level, suggesting that many buildings are actually partially buried structures from a previous era. After this catastrophe, according to the theory, surviving power structures rewrote history, claiming credit for Tartarian architecture and technology. They supposedly destroyed evidence, altered maps, and created a new historical narrative that positioned themselves as the builders of these magnificent structures. Here's the challenge that keeps researchers digging deeper. If this theory is false, how do we explain the inconsistencies they've identified? Why do so many 19th century buildings appear more advanced than structures built decades later? Why do old maps show Tartaria as a massive empire, only for it to disappear from later cartography without explanation? Why do we find similar architectural styles across continents during periods when global communication was supposedly limited? Most puzzling of all, why do official construction timelines for some of the world's most impressive buildings seem impossibly short, even by today's standards? Tartarian theorists present several categories of evidence. They point to buildings with features that seem too advanced for their supposed construction period. Elaborate heating systems, sophisticated ventilation, and engineering techniques that weren't supposed to exist until much later. Official construction dates that seem impossibly rapid. Massive structures allegedly built in months or a few years, then standing for centuries with minimal maintenance. Old photographs showing elaborate buildings that were supposedly temporary or quickly demolished. Images of construction sites that don't match the primitive technology supposedly available. Historical maps showing Tartaria as a major empire, then its gradual disappearance from later maps without corresponding historical events to explain its decline. Buildings with windows and doors at basement level, suggesting the ground level has risen significantly, potentially from catastrophic mud deposits. What makes this theory particularly intriguing is its global scope. Theorists identify similar architectural patterns across continents. Star forts with identical designs in Europe, Asia, and the Americas. Grand exhibition buildings with remarkably similar features worldwide. Government buildings and cathedrals that seem to follow the same architectural principles across vast distances. If these were built independently by different cultures with limited communication, why do they share so many common elements? Perhaps most compelling is the technology argument. Tartarian theorists claim these buildings incorporated advanced energy systems, possibly free energy, that we've forgotten how to use. They point to ornate spires and domes as potential energy conductors, and to the worldwide network of similar structures as evidence of a unified technological system. This is the moment that challenges everything. According to the theory, during the 18th and 19th centuries, a concerted effort was made by rising world powers to rewrite history, systematically erasing evidence of this advanced civilization. If true, this means we're living among the ruins of a civilization far more advanced than our own. Every government building, every cathedral, every grand railway station could be a remnant of a lost world, and we've been conditioned to believe our recent ancestors built them with primitive tools. The theory suggests that what we call the Industrial Revolution wasn't innovation, but rediscovery. That our modern technology isn't progress, but a slow recovery from a previous technological peak that was deliberately hidden from us. But here's the critical question. Is this elaborate historical revision possible? Could such a massive conspiracy span centuries and continents? Or are we seeing patterns where none exist, trying to make sense of rapid technological advancement that actually did occur in the 19th century? The Tartarian Empire theory represents more than just alternative history. It's a fundamental challenge to how we understand human progress and the reliability of historical records. On YouTube videos and Reddit boards, adherents argue that everything you know about the history of architecture is wrong. Whether you find the theory compelling or dismissible, it raises important questions about the nature of historical evidence and the stories we tell about our past. It forces us to look more critically at the buildings around us and ask harder questions about rapid technological advancement. The search for truth about Tartaria continues to grow, with researchers around the world examining architectural evidence, historical documents, and photographic records. They're not just questioning individual buildings or construction gates. They're questioning the entire narrative of human technological development. Perhaps, most importantly, this theory reminds us that history is written by the victors, and sometimes the most incredible stories are the ones that never make it into textbooks. Whether Tartaria was a real advanced civilization or an elaborate misinterpretation of rapid 19th century development, the questions it raises about our past deserve serious consideration. The truth about our architectural heritage might be more complex and more fascinating than we've ever imagined.